Hello and welcome to stage 3 of the Tour of Britain in Stoke, and I'm delighted to say that the wind has subsided, the sun has come out, and I've dragged Brian Smith out of his neutral service car as well, Brian, to have a little natter about, well, first of all, yesterday. It was frankly unrideable, wasn't it? Have you ever known conditions like that?
I haven't raced in conditions like that, especially in Blackpool, but there was a lot of debris in the road. We drove the course and there was branches and everything there, too dangerous to ride. But when we got into Blackpool seafront, it was like it would have blown the riders over onto the barriers. But I wouldn't say it's too quiet today because the breeze is getting up now.
Just in comparison to yesterday, anything feels quiet. So we're in Stoke, which is something of a fixture on the Tour of Britain these days. It's a real classic stage, isn't it? Gun Hill could split the race apart for the first time today.
Oh, for definite. You know, with this wind blowing, it goes on to the moors. You've got Gun Hill, a steep climb. And yeah, this is going to be the first test for the GC contenders. We've had the Sprinters Day. Okay, yesterday wasn't run, but we've had the stage for Mark Cavendish. Now the GC contenders will come into play today. Yeah,
absolutely. And one of the stars on this race, who we haven't really seen a great deal of so far, is Thor Hushovd, the man with the rainbow jersey. 2011 has been nothing short of a triumph for Thor Hushovd. The World Championships, 8 days in the Maillot Jaune of the Tour de France, and 2 great stage wins. This has been the best year of your racing career. It must have meant a huge amount to you, what you did, not only winning the stripes, but also on the Tour de France.
Yeah, that was, of course, wearing this rainbow jersey in Tour de France. It's great, and I was able to have 1 week in yellow and then win 2 nice stages. So yeah, the Tour de France was my best ever. So of course, I'm really pleased with my whole season.
Yeah, and it's kind of changed the way we think about you as a rider as well. You're no longer the big bunch sprinter that you used to be. You seem to be able to do kind of everything, really, especially when it goes uphill.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm just, when you're getting older, you're just getting slower, and I realised that...
You're really slow. I think everyone here agrees how slow you are. You're not getting slower, you're getting faster, if anything.
Yeah, I think I'm just stronger, and then that's why I can go in breakaways and do things like this, and also win a hard final. So I think that's a different with me now compared to a few years back.
Yeah. Now this stage today in Stoke has been won twice by Edvald Boasson-Hagen, and I think it's got Thor Hushovd written all over it. It looks absolutely right for you. Have you had a look at the profile?
Yeah, I know it's a hard final, so I do my best. I did been sick for a couple of days, and I'm on antibiotics, but I think my form should be okay, so I'll give it a try.
And it's a good race. Are you enjoying it so far? I mean, you've only had one stage, and then the wind blew, but the big crowds, and I think your presence has been very much appreciated by the British public. Are you getting a bit of love back from them as well?
Yeah, I feel so. I think I had a warm welcome, so I'm really happy to be here, and it's a big crowd at the start, and especially at the finishes, and then a lot of people cheering at us during the race. So it's really good.
Hey, listen, I'm sure I speak on behalf of everyone here. Good luck on the rest of the Tour of Britain. Good luck in the Worlds, and thank you for everything you've done this year. It's been brilliant to watch.
Thank you.
Give a round of applause, everyone. Yes, the magnificent Thor Hushovd, and what a pleasure it is to see him on the roads of Britain, isn't it? What a great world champion he's been so far as well.
No, he's been great. We had a great world champion last year in Evans. This year, Thor Hushovd, just the same. You know, what he done in the Tour de France was magnificent, and to have him here in the Tour of Britain is quite cool.
There would be a great symmetry if you did win today, because of course this is the stage that belongs essentially to Edvald Boasson-Hagen, his compatriot. And
the Norwegian stage.
The Norwegian stage, and they are such similar riders in lots of ways, aren't they? You can see Boasson-Hagen following the same path as Hushovd to some degree.
No, for sure. This is a stage, Stoke-on-Trent. We've had it the last few years, and you know, with Gun Hill and the 2 other second category climbs, it's going to be a strong man that wins. Greg Henderson won it last year here, and Sky never went on to win the race. But I think Sky have got probably a good chance of winning here today with Ben Swift, but also the overall with Geraint Thomas. Remember, we're into Wales tomorrow, and he's
Absolutely.
on form at the moment.
Yeah, very good point. Okay, that's tomorrow. Let's have a look at today's stage in a little bit closer detail. From its start point in Trentham Gardens, the riders tackle a couple of early sprints before back-to-back climbs, including the spectator-strewn Gun Hill rear up at the halfway point. The demanding Staffordshire roads then bend back towards Stoke after one final climb. It's the usual uphill finish to the line. The race around Stoke has become a permanent fixture on the tour map in recent years. It's a bike-mad city that proudly boasts a strong environmental agenda. Nicknamed the Potteries, the city is renowned for its manufacturing past that attracts thousands of visitors to its numerous museums and surrounding countryside. The city's sporting pedigree is underlined by its Premiership football team and, of course, its most famous son, Sir Stanley Matthews. Well, the big feature of the day is, of course, Gun Hill. It's the first really big test of the Tour of Britain, and it presents ample reason to send Yanto Barker out on his bike to go and ride it.
Hi, I'm here at the bottom of Gun Hill, one of the main climbs of today's stage and one of the steepest on this year's race. I'm going to have a quick cycle up and just show you how hard it can be at the steepest points for the riders as they come through later. This is the start of the climb. It's quite early, small road, still big ring I'd say here, but if the GC guys want to make a selection at the top, they're going to have to keep it pressing on. I think probably start to bite in the legs here. This climb seems to go up in sections, a couple of steep sections, and it flattens off a tiny bit, and then heads back up again. Slightly levelled off here. We're actually going to hit a bit of a crosswind. It's been a headwind back there. Here we are into the exposed section. There's about another 500 metres to go to the top of the climb, so anyone going for the King of the Mountains is going to have to start sprinting here and probably see some gaps if the guys are going hard. So there you have it, the top of Gun Hill. You can hear the flags flapping. It's going to be very windy at the top here, quite exposed, and if they've been going full chat, there's going to be some gaps. And it's going to be full throttle back to the finish.
Well, for once I have to say I'm heartily glad it wasn't me who had to shoot that feature. Yanto Barker there, well done to him at making the extremely hard look extremely easy. OK, it's time to find out how the real race gets on Gun Hill. Let's join our commentators Hugh Porter and Brian Smith.
Massive crowds have turned out once again to support the Tour of Britain, and right in the middle of our screen is Mark Cavendish wearing the gold IG Markets jersey as the current leader. Skoda King of the Mountains jersey being worn by Russell Hampton right alongside him. Well, ahead of them today, a hilly course, and it's a cracking day for racing. At the back is Tour Hushoff, the world champion. Now then, Brian, what kind of a race can we expect today?
Well, I predict it's going to be a fast start. We've seen traditionally in this stage. We go on to the moors. It's a bit of a wind blowing today. We hopefully will get some crosswinds and a couple of climbs, and it's going to be a hard man's course.
Well, the blue prostate cancer charity points jersey is being worn by Mark Renshaw, who of course is the lead-out man for Mark Cavendish. Cavendish is actually the leader of that classification, but as he's wearing the gold jersey, then the honour falls to the man who lies second, and that is Renshaw. Well, there we are. They're underway, the big field, after an enforced rest day yesterday because of those very high winds. So there could be some fresh legs here in the peloton.
Yeah, the fresh legs, but maybe not fresh minds. It was a long day for a lot of these riders with the bad weather. They've been on, the turbo trainers, their indoor trainers yesterday because of the weather. But for Mark Cavendish, a tough day in these hilly conditions.
And there's quite a lot of wind still about, so we could see some echelon racing.
Yeah, I predict we're going to see with this wind blowing, it's going to be very hard. Thomas de Gent there for Vacansoleil with Dominic Clem from Leopard Trek. Two very strong riders deciding that they want to try something early.
Well, we'll never forget Thomas de Gent. A couple of years ago in the Tour of Britain, every time the flag dropped, he was the first man to attack. And he's gone on to carve out a very successful professional career for himself. And this year he won a stage in the Tour of Switzerland. He also finished fourth in the big time trial in the Tour de France.
He also won a stage in the Tour de France, so they're not going to let this guy go. And as you can see, a reaction from the peloton, all strung out at the moment with Thomas de Gent still riding hard at the front.
Big attack on the left of our screen here. This looks like the King of the Mountains. I tell you what, you can't hold him down, can you? Russell Hampton is amplifying his confidence after winning that King of the Mountains jersey on day one. And Hampton's going clear, and he's got another rider with him to try and distance themselves from the peloton. It looks like one of the United Healthcare riders.
Yeah, you're right, Hugh. It's Boy Van Poppel, son of John Paul Van Poppel, a multiple stage winner on the Tour de France. But there's nothing like a jersey in the back of your back like Russell Hampton to give you that inspiration to show it off at the front, and that's what he's doing well, joined by one of the Ann Post riders at the back.
And that's Andy Fenn, former under-23 British road race champion and a man who represented Scotland in New Delhi in the Commonwealth Games. So 3 riders then trying to go clear. That's a nice handy size of group if they start to share the work.
Yeah, they're all looking behind at the moment, and the gap looks very healthy. Andy Fenn is the good news about Andy is he's going off to Pastures New next year with Omega Pharma Quick Step, so he's going to this super team, so he obviously wants to try and impress in his home tour, the Tour of Britain.
And at the moment the advantage 2 minutes and 24 seconds, and it's very, very useful to build up a window of advantage before they get to the foot slopes of the climbs.
Yeah, we still got this first sprint to come at the moment, and then we had the first main climbs of today. We've got 2 second categories and a first category.
He's the sprint then for the first points of the day, and it's the Ann Post rider that gets the 5 points. Good sprinting there then by Andy Fenn. Those are the first points he scored so far in the competition, as we confirm that to you. So he's got the good legs on, Fenn.
Well, it's no surprise that at the front of the bunch you've got HDC riding hard with Lars back at the front and the Irish champion of Matt Bramire.
And of course they'll be anxious to keep the pressure on and not allow these 3 to slip too far down the road.
Well, you've got to remember that Andrew Fenn is 10 seconds off the overall lead of Mark Cavendish, Russell Hampton 29 seconds and Boy Van Poppel 10 seconds.
School children out once again. They love to see the Tour of Britain bike race, but really most of the field are in touch, aren't they, because it is early days. This is the sprint then for the remaining point on the line. It was close, wasn't it? But that looked like an Ann Post rider just picking up the 1 point. Let's not forget it's Pieter Gilibert that's the overall leader. He's the man that collected the most points on day 1. Let's have a look. Yeah, Gilibert got the odd point, so that means that he's still the leader in the Yodel Sprints competition. Welcome back, and the 3 leaders are approaching the second Yodel sprint at Uttoxeter, and when they get there they will have covered 28 miles.
Well, it's 1 kilometre to go to that Euro sprint, and on the back the winner of the first sprint, Andy Fenn, and I'm pretty sure he'll want to take the second one.
Fenn there just gathering himself ready for the surprise. He's in a good position, and you did see from the caption the lead 2 minutes and 55 seconds, but at the moment it's Boy Van Poppel at the front that's tapping the rhythm out. Fenn has now moved up into second position. 5 points, remember, he got from the first sprint, so he's got a chance here of doubling it. Boy Van Poppel is the man that's leading it out. As they come to the line, it's Boy Van Poppel that takes the 5 points on the line, and Andy Fenn coming over second.
Well, they never really contested that. They're more interested in keeping the gap up, about 3 minutes, maybe over that. But again, back to the peloton, you've got HTC train at the front of the gold jersey of Mark Cavendish.
Yeah, they're looking after Mark Cavendish, and at the moment he looks pretty comfortable there. His searing sprint reflected strongly in Dumfries. That's the reason he's wearing that jersey. But it is pretty tight at the moment. He's only leading because of the 10-second bonus he picked up for the stage victory.
And you've got to remember, Hugh, there are on the sprint points today there are 3, 2 and 1 seconds, which won't affect the overall of Mark Cavendish because there's 3 riders in this breakaway, so it could come down to the finishing sprint.
Now, if these 3 keep up the pressure, they've got an opportunity of getting to the first climb of the day in the Skoda King of the Mountains with an advantage over the others, and that means they can set their own pace. That's important because if riders are trying to jump clear on the climb, that can be very, very hurtful. Well, there we are, Pieter Gilibert, the Belgian, picking up the 1 point just as he did in the first sprint, so that means that he will still remain in the overall lead in that competition.
Which is very important for a team like Ann Post to be on the podium at the end of today, but again, the bunch led by, as usual, by HTC High Road with Rasmussen at front and the Irish champion still sitting there in second place.
Well, we've just started then the first climb of the day in the Skoda King of the Mountains competition. This is a second category ascent of Ram's Horn. So this is pretty stiff, and the riders will be looking to select some pretty low gears here, but still on the front it is HTC High Road that are keeping the pressure high.
Yeah, and just look behind them, Hugh, there are a lot of black jerseys. Team Sky are up there, Rafa Condor Sharp. Everybody's just sitting back at the moment, prepared to let these 3 riders have the limelight of the stage so far. the front of this King of the Mountains still being set by Boy Van Poppel.
And you could see that they've got the low gears engaged, the three at the front. 3 minutes and 3 seconds is the window of advantage. So they're still holding a comfortable distance over the peloton. But you do get the feeling that HTC High Road are not going to allow these three to go any further away.
Well, they're just holding them at about approximately 3 minutes at the moment. No real pressure to bring them back. They know that these riders are just trying to get the limelight of the sprints competition, the King of the Mountains competition. I'm pretty sure that they want to try and bring them back as we get further down the line.
So once they've got this climb under the wheels, then they're roughly halfway through this stage. Fenn, I must admit, looked very comfortable at the front, but Sky are also taking closer order today.
Yeah, it's Steve Cummings at the front. You can just see the bandages in his knee from his crash in the first stage to Dumfries. On the left-hand side, you have the Yodel Sprints jersey, but a lot of riders just prepared to ride on the front, not really chasing, and just ride up this climb steady.
I must admit, this climb doesn't look very steep, although it has got a second category rating.
Well, it's the length of it, Hugh. It's a second category purely because of that. It goes up in steps, but as soon as we get over the top, we go onto the moors, and that's where the wind's going to blow.
Well, first over the top gets 6 points, 5, 4, 3, 2 and 1. And those, of course, are useful points to carry forward. And Russell Hampton, who is the current leader in this Skoda King of the Mountains competition, will be looking to try and scoop up more points to add to his tally. So 2 days of racing, and Hampton's actually been in the break on both days, so he's not fazed by the reputation of the opposition.
Well, I think it's fantastic. You've got 5 domestic teams in this race, yet Russell Hampton has been in the 2 breakaways of the race, and you know, it's deservingly that he's got the King of the Mountains jersey, and I'm pretty sure he'll want to take more points at the top of this climb.
So Hampton, the 23-year-old who rides on the Sigma Sports Specialized squad, is at the front here again, and he can see the summit here. And remember, if he crosses that first, it's another 6 points, as I mentioned a little earlier. He's got a nice, easy pedaling action, and I think the rest are just going to be content to follow him over the line. Let's have a look. Yep, here he comes. So Hampton gets another 6. He'll be pleased with that. He started as leader with 12 points after day 1, so his tally now goes up to 18.
Yeah, it's a good, comfortable lead he's got at the moment, just confirmed there. King of the Mountains winner, just on that second category climb at the Skoda King of the Mountains. But more importantly, Hugh, if you see the flag just before the top of the King of the Mountains, as the gap goes up to 3 minutes and 26, the wind is blowing over the top of this climb from the right-hand side of our screen to the left-hand side, so we could see some echelons forming.
And that really is a tough form of racing because the field could fragment significantly. But they've still got a nice window of advantage here, 3 minutes and 26 seconds. And the rhythm being tapped out at the front of the field. It still looks like HTC High Road to me that's doing the pulling.
Well, you notice at the bottom of the climb that HTC High Road decided to sit up a bit to see if any other team would come up and help, and that's when Steve Cummings from Team Sky came up, but they weren't pushing on. The gap went out to 3:26, so they've decided that they have to keep on riding this down because the 2 riders here are within 10 seconds lead of the gold jersey of Mark Cavendish.
And we saw a glimpse of Mark Cavendish there. He's about 5th back in the peloton. So the Manx man, the Manx Express, of course the quickest finisher on the planet, is coping with the climbs very well. There was also evidence of a rider from Motorpoint down there. I'm just wondering if that's Ian Bibby. Of course, Bibby has just won the competition for the Premier Calendar, which means he's the best domestic road rider overall. And Bibby is a man that could ride well in this kind of terrain.
Oh, you would think so. Motorpoint are a local sponsor. Phil Griffiths is the manager of that team, and this is his local manor. So you would expect that Motorpoint riders would be really motivated to get up here on the stage today.
But on the left of our screen, it's still Bramier, the Irish champion, in the middle, and Post. The An Post rider is obviously looking after the interests of the breakaway teammate, and that is Fenn. And he'll just monitor any moves, so if anybody jumps clear, he'll probably try and profit from the advantage that they develop. We're getting towards the top now.
Well, you can see here the wind is still blowing from the right of our screen at the moment as we go over the top of this Skoda King of the Mountains.
And we can look forward to some echelon racing as we can confirm now the full finishing positions on Ram's Horn. Well, that's the completion of the first climb of the day, Ram's Horn. Next obstacle, Gun Hill.
Welcome back. On the descent from the first climb of the day, HTC High Road and Team Sky took advantage of some severe crosswinds, getting on the front and pulling the bunch apart. The first GC selection of the race, with all 6 Team Sky riders in the move. Up the road, the 3 leaders had reached the foot of the Cat 1 Gun Hill.
You've got to ask yourself the question, how much longer can the 3 leaders stay ahead? Russell Hampton, he'll be keen to try and get more points in the defence of his lead in the King of the Mountains. Andy Fenn, he's sitting second wheel, and at the back, Boy Van Poppel.
We'll just look at here, Michael Rogers for Team Sky, still pushing hard onto this climb of Gun Hill, sitting in second place. Bernard Eisel and IG Market's gold jersey of Mark Cavendish sitting nicely in third.
It is reflecting very strongly now that these 2 big powerful teams are going to tear the race apart, and that's exactly what they are doing. There we are, you can see it is 35 seconds the advantage as they cross the line to start the ascent of Gun Hill.
Well, Team Sky have got all 6 members in this chasing group for the 3 riders in front, but they can't be too far ahead of the original peloton.
But of course this climb here, Brian, Gun Hill, is much stiffer than the previous one, Ram's Horn.
Well, we're not on the steeper slopes at the moment. Just drags up nice and gradual at the moment. You can just see the riders treating this with a bit of respect, just sitting back at the moment, because this really rears up as we get up towards the top.
And on the top, the first man over will get 10 valuable points, and they go all the way down to 1 for 10th. Now then, let's just have a look at the advantage here as we come back with our aerial view. You can see, well, it's coming down all the time.
Boy, still Team Sky pressing hard at the front. They've got pretty much 6 riders in this front group, so it's down to them. Everybody else in this group is going to say, look guys, 6 of you here, it's up to you to pull these 3 riders back and push on hard.
And HTC High Road have got 3 as well. Cavendish, Lars Bach and Bernard Eisel. And Leopard Trek, they've got 3 in the group as well.
Well, it's no surprise that at the front of the group you had Russell Hampton pushing hard, but just look at the gap between the front chasing group of 24 and the peloton is now 16 seconds.
Not much, but that advantage when you're climbing a hard hill like this can be very, very useful indeed. Now, Rafa Conda Sharp have got a rider on the left here, and this is Jonathan Tiernan Locke, and he's had a pretty good season so far.
Yeah, winner of one of the Premier Calendar Series. He's on the attack now, won the Rydale Grand Prix earlier on in June, and this is no surprise to me. This is what he does best.
So he's bounced out of the front of the group and distanced himself already from that group that's been dominated by the team of Sky, and he's got a very good chance of getting up to the 3, and that would be very useful because those 3 are beginning to tire, so if he joins them, that will give them extra strength.
Yeah, it's going to give them that extra strength to go over the top down the other side, but with Team Sky having 6 riders and trying to keep that, push that gap up of 16 seconds to 20, 30, 40 seconds, it's going to be very difficult for them to stay away.
Well, you can see the gap that he has already established over the group he has left, and that's about the same that he trails the 3. But the contrasting styles, Tiernan Locke is literally sprinting up Gun Hill, and at the head of the chasing group here, they're just tapping out an easy rhythm.
Well, just look in the middle of that chasing group at 24, you can see Mark Cavendish still riding comfortable. This would be the hill that he would have feared most today.
So Cavendish is making a real good job of the ascent here of Gun Hill, and so is this man from the Rafa Conda Sharp team. Tiernan Locke is almost up to the 3, takes a cursory look back to see where they are, but he's going well. He's flying away from the group, and he's going to pick up the 3 very, very soon.
Well, no reaction from Team Sky at the moment. They're just content to set in a hard tempo, and so is this man at the front in the Skoda King of the Mountains jersey, Russell Hampton. Really impressed with this ride by this man from Sigma Sport.
But look at the man from Rafa Conda Sharp there in the black strip. He's almost up to the man at the back of the 3, Boy Van Poppel. He's flying, so he could pick up valuable points here then. And look at this, he's only off the back of the 3 now by about 25 metres.
Well, the atmosphere is building in this climb, the first cat of this Tour of Britain, and the motorbikes are there, the horns are going, the atmosphere is really great with the crowd outside the road.
Well, it's a notorious climb, it's a magnet for spectators, and look, Tiernan Locke has gone straight past them. He caught them napping, and Russell Hampton, well, I don't think you can believe it. Tiernan Locke now, he's setting his stall out for 10 points at the top of the climb. Reaction coming now from Russell Hampton. Hampton trying to chase Locke down, but I think he's going to run out of distance. But it's a valiant effort by Locke. Hampton is staring at him. Can he bridge?
Well, Hampton just had a glance to the side, didn't realise Tierney-Lock was coming up, put it in the big ring, the outside chain ring, to try and react, and he can't. John Tierney-Lock, it looks like he's going to be taking maximum points at the top of this climb.
Isn't he looking good? He's out of the saddle, just injecting a little more pace, and the crowd are loving this. And the sun comes out to greet Lock as he nears the summit of Gun Hill. But again, out of the saddle behind, the Skoda King of the Mountains leader, Hampton looks for more power to try and get up to him, but he can't do it. So it's 10 points then that goes to Tierney-Lock, and 9 goes to Russell Hampton. Van Boppel coming over the line third. And you will have noticed that Andy Fenn, he's not amongst the leaders, so his legs are buckling.
Well, it does look as if Van Boppel was struggling as well, Hugh, but again, Russell Hampton coming up to John Tierney-Lock, and are they going to forge ahead?
Well, we'll see who is going to be first to the summit of the climb from the chasers. Sky is still near the head here, pounding on the pedals and keeping the pace as high as possible. It is Sky that takes the leading position. We saw Cav going over the top, so he's had a good climb as well of Gun Hill. Well, there's the result, and you can see that Andy Fenn did hang on for 4th, but it was Steve Cummings that led the group over for 5th position. There's the rest of the places confirmed for you. Mark Cavendish, good climb of Gun Hill for him. He completed it in 8th spot. Now, this is the group that they're left. Now, they really have got to get settling down pretty quickly if they want to try and bridge to that group.
But the gap to this chasing bunch is only within a minute at the moment, so it could all come back. These 3 riders are looking around, talking to each other, and I don't know if they're saying to each other, well, we'll wait for the chasing group just behind.
Well, I can tell you, Brian, the consistent climbing today so far from Russell Hampton has given him enough points to hang on to that Skoda King of the Mountains overall lead.
I think that's what he was looking at to do, Hugh, today. But again, at the front of the bunch, Rabobank now put Tanking at the front. They like this breakaway. They want to push it ahead because this bunch behind are still within breathing distance.
Well, there's one more sprint to go, and that, of course, is in Leek. As you can see, that gap, well, it's not convincing, is it? Those 3 are now almost back in the group.
Well, you can see some of the cars coming past now. The gap is getting very, very small. John Tierney-Lock swings over at the front, but again, it's this chasing group of 24 still pushing hard at the front.
So they have, I think, surrendered. Yes, here they go. The junction is made, and the 3 have now been absorbed by the chasing group. So 27 riders now have assembled on the run to the finish in Hanley. The next sprint for them is going to be for the Yodel Sprint, the 3rd one of the day in Leek.
Yeah, well, Leek is coming up soon. Steve Cummings just at the front for Team Sky, just behind him Bram Tankink and Michael Matthews, the under-23 champion of the world for Rabobank.
And he's a big sprinter, is Matthews, so Cavendish will be aware of that. And this is the peloton. They're within a minute of that front group, and the world champion Turushov is in the middle of the mix.
Well, in this front group of 27, Team Sky still put riders on the front because they don't want the world champion and the rest of the peloton to come back to the front.
Now, Sky, in this kind of position, surely they can start firing riders down the road and probably leave Ben Swift, their big sprinter, in the wheels, so he's got fresh legs.
It's a possibility, Hugh, but they've got 6 riders in the front group. They've got this group on the peloton with Hushov in it, still within a minute, so they want to try and push out that advantage to 2-3 minutes, and then they can start attacking.
And there they are, lined out in perfect linear formation, just like a team time trial. 3 riders from the Sky squad, turning the screw and keeping the power high.
Well, they're using up at the front Ben Swift, Steve Cummings and Matt Heyman are the first 3 from Team Sky. Got to remember as well, Hugh, this sprint points has got 3 2 and 1 seconds, so they could count for the overall.
And they're getting close then to the final sprint of the day in Leek. And as you said, there are time bonuses available, which could be pretty critical when we add the situation up at the end. But let's not forget there's 10 for the winner and 6 for second and 4 for third at the completion of the stage.
Well, we know that Yodel Sprint green jersey leader at the moment is in the second group of the peloton, but just look here, Team Sky are trying to think of these 3 2 and 1 seconds.
That's Geraint Thomas. Geraint Thomas has gone past Steve Cummings. So Geraint Thomas, a man who won an Olympic gold medal in Beijing as a member of the Team Pursuit, he's using his great speed and power here to try and scoop up his first points of the competition, and that's actually caused a little break. 3 riders have gone away, and it's Thomas now forging his way to the line. Here comes the attack on the left. 2 Sky riders are in the mix here. Well, look at this, there's also a rider there from Rabobank. Well, who got that?
Well, it was actually Alex Dowsett that led down Geraint Thomas and Lars Boom for that Yodel sprint point, and that just goes to show you we're starting to see the GC contenders get involved in this race, and they think that these seconds and these bonuses are very important.
And there it is, confirmed then. Thomas got 5 points from Lars Boom. Dowsett there with the 2, and Isel, the teammate of course, Cavendish of HTC High Road, getting the 1. But I must admit, the man in the IG Markets gold jersey is looking pretty comfortable. Now is Thomas going to try and capitalise on this slender advantage?
Well, Geraint Thomas is looking back at the mark, see what damage he's actually done, but he's got 3 seconds in the bag towards the GC.
And these kind of roads, they are very heavy indeed, and the race is in a very angry mood at the moment, and this is where the sort out could really begin to develop. There's one more climb to come, and that's the second cat at common side, all to play for. Welcome back, and there's one more climb then for the riders to negotiate, and that's common side, and that's the second category ascent, and they are now on the foot slopes.
And again, it's Team Sky pushing hard at the front. They know they've still got the 6 riders in this front group of 27. There's a chasing group of 5 just behind. If you've noticed in this group, Vacan Soleil are not represented. They've got 2 riders trying to come across, and they're within a 1 minute of this front group.
So you've got the front group of 27, there's 5 that are just off the front of the main peloton as we're now heading up towards the summit of this last climb.
Well, you can just see at the back, Swift is starting to struggle. Matt Heyman in front of him is starting to struggle in this climb. It just shows you the effort the Sky put into this chase.
Jonathan Tiernan-Lock, well, he's full of riding today. Now then, he's trying to get away from the group again, so he fancies some more points. Now then, if he keeps picking up points like this, he's going to become a serious threat to Russell Hampton, who of course is the current leader in the Skoda King of the Mountains competition.
Well, you can just see a reaction from Russell Hampton in the Skoda King of the Mountains jersey, trying to come across and take the second place at the top of this climb. Very steep climb at the top. John Tiernan-Lock comes across the top first.
It was almost rubbing it in there, wasn't he? He looked back and said, well, can anybody challenge me? But he was over the top first, but second place was Russell Hampton.
Well, it just goes to show you how important this Skoda King of the Mountains jersey means to these domestic teams.
And there are the points for you, and that means today Russell Hampton will have amassed a really big tally, and that means that he will remain in that Skoda King of the Mountains jersey.
Well, the King of the Mountains are all out the way, the sprints are out the way. All we need to do is get into Stoke and see who's going to win this stage.
So one big sprint remaining, and that of course is to claim stage 3 of the Tour of Britain in Hanley. It's an uphill finish, and of course it just twists at the end. The previous 3 winners have been Greg Henderson of New Zealand last year, Edvald Boasson-Hagen has won it twice, and we've got an attack here from Sky.
Well, Sky have actually disappeared from the front of this leading group. They've left it all up to HTC High Road, and Alex Dowsett looks as if he's trying to get a bit of a gap.
Well, Alex Dowsett has just won the British Time Trial Championship, and if he can get clear, he's a perfect man to set his stall out for a lone victory. Brilliant time trialer. He was second in New Delhi in the Commonwealth Games when he got the silver medal, and Dowsett really is in the form of his life.
Well, we expect this should happen. Sky have been riding hard at the front. They rode over Gun Hill, they pushed out the advantage, and this is what we thought they would do. Attack for the stage.
Now they've got the rest of their team behind, so they've got to look after the interests here now of Dowsett. This is a similar scenario to 12 months ago when Sky pitched strongly for the stage victory there. They had Thomas, Wiggins and Henderson on that occasion, and it was the Kiwi, Henderson, that finally clinched the victory. 10k's to go. Can he stay away?
Well, you would think if anybody had a chance of staying away in the last 10 kilometres with 20 seconds, it would be this man here, the newly crowned British time trial champion.
So Dowsett now settling down to the task in hand, fully concentrated, trying to stay ahead then of this chasing group. There he is, he's into the outskirts of the town.
Well, he's given it absolute 100% at the moment, and if he pulls off this stage win, he could be taking that gold jersey off Mark Cavendish back.
Well, 20 seconds is a scant advantage, but if the group behind do not consistently work, he will profit from it. I think we can just about see them in the distance from that shot.
Well, the pressure from Alex Dowsett means that all the other teams have to come to the front and start riding them down, because Sky can just sit back they've got a man in front, and they're looking pretty at the moment for not only the overall jersey but possible stage.
So we'll be looking for efforts from people like Lars Back and Bernard Eisel, who of course are on the HTC High Road squad looking after the leader, and of course that is Mark Cavendish. 12 seconds, it's coming down.
Yeah, it's coming down. This is not an easy finish into the finishing line at Stoke. It's up and down with a climb about 1 kilometre to go, so it's very, very difficult. You've got the uphill finish as well.
These corrugations on the lead then to the finishing funnel really do sap the strength out of the legs, because they've gone over some pretty difficult terrain today. Well, that aerial shot shows that the advantage is coming down all the time.
And it's Rabobank and Orange at the front. They're chasing it down. They've got very good riders. It's Bram Tanking leading the way for Rabobank, and they've got Michael Matthews and Lars Boom just sitting nicely in about 5th or 6th place.
Only 12 seconds. Well, he's stubbornly hanging on to this advantage. He could do with a few twists and turns, because these kind of roads mean that the group can see him.
Well, he's still got a good healthy advantage, and you've only got one rider from Rabobank trying to chase him down, so it's 1 against 1 at the moment. The gap getting slender and slender all the time.
Well, you've got to start speculating on the possibility of who could win the sprint. Here we are, this is another attack. This is exactly what happens. Riders try to dive clear off the front, and this disrupts the rhythm of the group behind.
Well, this is the team from Netap from Germany on the left-hand side. He's just been passed by a Leopard Trek rider, so everybody's trying to chase down Alex Dowsett. Can he stay away? He's only got a few seconds at the moment.
And as I just said, Brian, he could profit from that, because when they jump clear and then they sit up, then obviously their pace is not consistent.
Well, you've got to remember the terrain we've been over today. These guys are pretty tired. They're on the outskirts of the town at the moment, and the Alex Dowsett still got a slender lead, but the attacks have started. When the attacks started, there's a lot of stopping and slowing at the front of the chasing group.
Well, if that lead does get washed away and they pick him up, then you've got to start looking at the sprinters in the group behind, and Mark Cavendish will be obviously aware of Michael Matthews, who is the World Under-23 champion. He's the Australian riding on the Rabobank squad.
Well, this is a long straight road into town, and it rears up towards the 1 kilometre, as we've just said. So Alex Dowsett in the front for Team Sky will be seen all the way along this road. It's still a slender 15 seconds at the moment, still gritting his teeth, everything to play for.
It really is a tough approach to the finish, and I think that Dowsett is beginning to buckle a little bit here. His head was dropping, and he realised he really is on the rack.
Well, you can look, there's no concerted effort from the group behind, so looking very good at the moment for Alex Dowsett. He just has to keep 100% going.
We're inside the final 2 kilometres, and you can tell that the pressure is full on, because the long thin line has now formed here at the front of the group.
Well, it's HTC High Road at the front trying to chase down Alex Dowsett. You can just see them, they're within sight now, about 10 seconds, but this isn't a finish for Mark Cavendish, so it's going to be very difficult for HTC to hold on to this jersey today.
It's certainly going to test Mark Cavendish. It's uphill, and he kicks as well, just to the line, a sharp turn. Well, he realises now his advantage has almost been wiped away, and that looks like Rabobank to me at the front, and as I speak, he's been overtaken, the Rabobank rider, as they're now going to make the junction.
Well, we're close to the top of the hill, we're close to 1 kilometre to go. We turned left at the top of this climb, it was back on Slay on the left-hand side. You've got Garmin Savello on the right-hand side, they're all looking back, it's all together. We've got 27 riders trying to win this stage.
Well, who's he going to go to? Can Cavendish take stage win number 2? The pacer's stall here, and this is an attack on the left-hand side of our screen. Looks like another rider from Sky to me.
Yeah, Sky are really determined to win this stage. The rider from Motorpoint is Ian Bibby. The local rider, Rafa Condor Sharp, have got Dan Craven in there as well, and it's all action at the front of this group.
Now, Bibby has just won the Premier Calendar overall, so he's the most consistent rider on the domestic scene. What a turn-up that would be. Bibby could nail this one. He rides for Motorpoint Racing, the local team.
Well, just look at the front here. We've got Dan Craven for Rafa Condor Sharp, Steve Cummings for Sky, second place there. Ian Bibby just moves a wee bit further back, but a lot of pushing and barging as we get to the last kilometre.
Well, it's still all to play for. I'm just waiting to see whether anybody else is going to try and jump clear with the element of surprise. There it is, the Flamme Rouge, 1 kilometre to go, and there's a stall here in the pace setting as Sky come through. Mark Cavendish then in that IG Markets gold jersey is about 5 back. Now then, can Cavendish get this?
Well, Sky take control again. Michael Rogers at the front, and they're thinking of Steve Cummings and Geraint Thomas. Geraint Thomas has been up in the first stage in the sprint, so they'll be thinking of trying to get him to win this stage and possibly take that gold jersey.
And of course he hasn't got Mark Renshaw with him, who's his lead out man. Mark Renshaw hasn't had a good day. He missed the move, but it's Sky again right at the front.
For me, the danger men are in the orange, just in front of Mark Cavendish, and that's why he's tracking them at the moment. They're sitting in 3rd and 4th place, and that's Lars Boom and Michael Matthews. So Cav is right on them at the moment. He knows these are the guys who're tracking this uphill finish.
And it's Sky at the front here, and it looks like the Australian Heyman. Heyman swings over to set it up for Cummings and Geraint Thomas, but keep your eye on the brace of riders from Rabobank, Lars Boom and Michael Matthews. Matthews, who's the World Under-23 champion, he's second at the moment. Boom is much taller, and it's going to be Lars Boom. He kicks here at the corner, and Boom has round that first. Here he comes to the line. Lars Boom takes it on the line. Matthews is second, and it looked like Sky finishing 3rd, and I'm assuming that's going to be Geraint Thomas. What a finish then by Boom.
Oh, absolutely fantastic. The two Rabobank riders, 1st and 2nd here. As you see from the aerial shot, they've got about 3 or 4 bike lengths into the corner left, sweeping right-hand corner. What power they guys have got. 1-2 on the day.
Well, there we are, the victory salute from Boom and from Matthews, his teammate, and it looked like Geraint Thomas to me for 3rd. Well, there's Mark Cavendish. Question you've got to ask yourself, has he done enough to hang on to the race leader's jersey?
A powerful 1-2 then from Rabobank on Stoke's uphill finish. Lars Boom, the big man with the staying power when it mattered. He takes the stage from teammate Michael Matthews, Sky's Geraint Thomas and Steve Cummings in 3rd and 4th, with race leader Mark Cavendish in 5th. Ian Bibby's 6th place, a strong result for British domestic outfit Motorpoint. Holland it is though, on top in the Potteries. Lars Boom, a big engine with the heart of a time trialist, proving that he can do it on all terrains. 2 4th places at the first 2 sprints from Peter Gilbert, enough for him to retain the Yodel Sprints jersey for another day. And Sigma Sports' Russell Hampton, away in the break for much of today, swept up 20 KOM points. The Skoda King of the Mountains jersey firmly on his shoulders. A 1st and a 5th for Mark Cavendish so far means that he holds on to the prostate cancer points jersey by 2 points from Geraint Thomas. But the race lead has changed hands. Lars Boom's 10 seconds time bonus on the line means that he now takes over at the top of the general classification by 3 seconds to Mark Cavendish. Geraint Thomas is 3rd at 6 seconds, with Rabobank's Michael Matthews in 4th place at 7 seconds. Lars Boom, though, will be a hard man to dislodge. The new wearer of the IG Markets gold jersey had done his homework for this stage, and it paid off.
No, Henderson won the last year, I think, and I saw some pictures in the road book with a lot of corners, of course, and it's tricky a finish like this. So I know it was going to be a tricky finish because of the corners, and I think it's a typical finish for me. A little bit uphill. My acceleration is good from the cyclocross, and also I'm a good sprinter in a small group, and I proved it today, I think.
Well, that's exactly what we wanted from the finish line here at Stoke. It was fast, furious and pretty unpredictable, just like the appearance of Chris Boardman alongside me. Hello, Chris.
Hello, Ned.
And Janto Barker is here too, just to unpick what went on. Now, Chris, as far as I can make out, it started really, the final few kilometres, with that attack by Dowsett, didn't it?
And he's such a strong time trialist as well. He had a good shot. And he got 17 seconds at one point, but behind him it was getting organised. And when the wind's like this, you're out there on your own. Could have done with a little bit of company, I think.
Absolutely. It looked for a while like Sky had got it absolutely perfect, Janto, but Rabobank, well, they kind of outsmarted everyone, didn't they?
Absolutely. Like you say, Dowsett went up the road, good time trialist. I thought if he doesn't get caught in the first couple of Ks, you know, he might be able to hold on, but HTC obviously very, very strong, very motivated. But like you said, Rabobank just tucked away and came out with the goods at the finish line.
And they've got a very strong team, haven't they? So they're going to be a proper threat in this race.
Yeah, they've got 2 very strong riders, you know, Theo Boss, Lars Boom, and I think it will be very difficult to dislodge them. But I'm sure Sky and HTC will have to really take it to them from now on.
Absolutely. Sets the race up beautifully, that, doesn't it, having Rabobank out front, because now they've got a motor.
This is really tough terrain, actually. I mean, it's going to be a very difficult race for anybody to control. So I think we've still yet to see the decisive breakaway. And if this wind continues as well, it's going to be in pieces tomorrow.
Okay, excellent. Thanks, Chris. Thanks also, Janto. Tomorrow, stage 4 from Welshpool to Caerphilly. Please remember to join us.